Wild.
Yes, well, we're just a wild bunch here. Hey, and Dave's here. What's up, Dave?
Hey, Dave.
It's coffee time.
It is coffee time. I'm having my second cup. I'm thinking, and I've told you my new strategy, my stratagem regarding caffeination. 1 cup before the show, the first show, and 1 cup during the second show. In the past, I would just load up with 2 cups before the first show, but I felt like I was fading in this second show. So now this is my brain came up with it.
Here's what I think.
Tell me.
I'm just going to throw it out there. You start with the coffee. You make sure you have at least 8 ounces of water after that. You throw a Red Bull down. You start the second show with a coffee. You're good to go for the rest of the day.
Wow. Maybe. So, Andy, how did you get your heart attack? Well, it's funny you should ask. Dave typically gives really good advice. But on this one instance, he said, coffee, energy drink, coffee. And I thought it was a good idea. My brain did. But then my heart decided to have other thoughts.
You almost said idea there.
I almost did, yes. Though, to tell you the truth, so we were watching the hockey game last night, right?
Right.
And,
the one that Canada won.
The one that Canada won against the dreaded Floridians.
I'm pretty sure they're going to lose the next one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, sure they will. Right, sure.
You're watching the fights in a hockey game broke out?
That's exactly it. And I swear to my fictitious God, and I don't know if my girlfriend's listening or watching right now, but I think she said Canada a couple of times.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's spreading. It's spreading.
Oh, no, this is not a good thing.
This is it, right? I've been blogging for well over 10 years, and the thing that I'm going to be known for from YouTube and from blogging are 2 things. One, Canada. Nothing else. Nothing. I could literally split the atom on this show.
You are definitely known for being principal, mayor.
Oh.
every title known to man: doctor, scientist, scientician. Yeah.
Well, this is interesting. Crypto Ameria says, win or lose, Montreal will riot.
Oh, I don't think they'll riot.
No,
it's not Vancouver. They don't have professional rioters there.
Very good. Oh, so the girlfriend says, I said it only because that's what Andy understands. Thank you, girlfriend.
Thank you, the girlfriend.
But that's how it starts. Yeah, that's how it starts.
Yeah, it becomes part of the lexicon. That's not good.
Hey, Sammy, how you doing?
Good, folks. How are you?
Doing okay.
How are you all?
Doing
I'm wondering, Andy, when Dr. Kennard will complete his professorate? Yeah, that word. When will you become Professor Kennard?
Well, I'm hoping, like I mentioned, if I have enough subscribers, maybe I'll become tenured. Maybe I'll be tenured over at Miskatonic University or the Theological Institute of Technology. Maybe he'll be full blown tenured. Right now, he's just an associate professor.
Muted, Dave.
Dave is self-canceling.
Yeah, I think there's a doctorate in your future.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
There are doctorate mills that you can just write to and get one.
Oh, this is true. There are degree mills out there. I mean, like so-called legitimate degrees. I don't want to cast aspersions on anyone's doctorate that they got, but there are some disciplines that you shrug your shoulders and you go, "Okay, that's real. That's fine."
You mean like the one that what's his name got at the trailer park in the desert? Was that Ken Ham or was that the other guy?
I'm not sure. And I do hear a small echo, and I don't know if anyone else hears that. No?
Not right now.
No.
Am I echoing?
I don't. Okay, maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just my brain. I don't know.
Every now and then, if it gets loud, you do get that feedback through it, but that's just the complications of StreamYard and not canceling the echo properly. So,
Well, so there. I was going to start riffing on a particular type of doctorate, but then I realized one of my friends has it, and it's like, oh, I can't riff on that.
Well, all that I care about, really, Andy, is will you be able to write my prescriptions?
Good point. I'm glad that you asked. Yes. Well, I'm not that kind of doctor, but I'm sure I will be pretty soon.
well, I would say if you come to Canada, yes, I can write your prescriptions. But there really is no need to at that point. If you're in Canada, you can get whatever you want.
No.
I can write prescriptions. No pharmacy will actually accept them, though.
Yes. See, now I don't think it's me, Kat, in terms of the echo. Well, I mean, it could be my brain. Because the person who doesn't hear the echo is the one who is creating the echo, from what I understand from it's either Dave or Sandy told me that.
Yeah,
I've got a headset.
I've got a headset as well.
I have a headset somewhere around here. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, I'm the only one that doesn't have a headset.
So it's you, Andy.
I hear the echo. I hear the echo, though.
It's not actually on. I didn't turn it on, but you know. I don't know, Andy. If it doesn't come back, it's not a problem.
Yeah. If it isn't a problem for anybody else,
can you still hear it, or is it still going through your head?
There, right there.
But the real problem starts, Andy, if the show ends and it's still happening.
Well, dude, I have to. Theo says it's not an echo; it's more like an underwater background noises.
Yeah, it's the Australian noise.
It's the Australian noise. Oh,
Yeah.
I hear the underwater noise as well, though. If that's what you mean.
The fiber line from there goes underneath the ocean all the way over to North America. So sometimes, you get that fish noise in the background. If a trawler's going over top or something like that, or
you should write a big book of Dave's conspiracy theories and alt facts. I would buy that book.
Dave's book of non-facts.
Non-facts, that's right.
Or the unfactable. I think I call it that.
Yeah. So Sammy, I don't know if you're like this, but whenever something is different, I'm wondering, oh no, this is the end, or this is like the beginning of the end.
Absolutely. I'm on my phone tonight. I'm usually on my laptop. So of course I'm wondering, is it me somehow?
Mm-hmm.
And the answer to that question is usually, it's just your own paranoia, and 1 out of every 5 times it'll be you.
Yeah. I will say this is that, and I don't know if there's enough conversation about how good skepticism is at managing mental illness, but I think that coming from evangelical, coming from a Christian, coming from a Baptist background, that learning the basic skeptics toolbox has helped keep my shit under control. I guess that's the best way of putting it.
I always, as a kid growing up, I always thought Baptists were some sort of swimming club.
Yeah. Dunking. That's what it is. Yeah. Dunking club.
But I thought Baptists did it like more than everybody else did. That's why they called it Baptist. Like, you know how Catholics have confession. I thought every time you did bad things, you had to go get baptized again.
Right.
Yeah. Which would be cool.
Jesse Bear says, do an online, pay $100, and boom, you get mailed your degree.
Yeah, put it on your wish list.
Dude, you just put it right up here on the right here. You put on
I can email Kent Hovind and see where he got his, if you like.
What is officially in anyway?
I think he has a doctorate of professorology. Oh, I almost got you.
Almost got me, Dave. That's good. That's
No,
good.
doesn't he have a doctorate of Christian studies or something like that?
No idea.
Yeah.
I've read up on him. I know he's a shyster, grifter.
Have you seen the building that he got it from? I think I have a picture of it here. But,
Oh, do you?
yeah. It looks like the 1980s version of Little House on the Prairie. Though, I mean, it does. It does. Anyone who's seen it. Yeah. I'll see if I can dig it out. But yeah. It's hardly worth it. But
So I was going to ask Sammy a question, but he's off camera right now.
That's okay.
Okay, so Jehovah's Witnesses, do they do the full body immersion baptism? They do. They do it right. So I'm just saying, as a Baptist, I can find common ground with JWs on that.
Yes, and they wait until the person decides rather than baptizing babies.
Who
Which
does
has
that?
always been an odd thing to me.
Right. This is how much tribalism there is in our brains. Is the fact that I'm a Baptist atheist and I'm willing to have conversations with Catholic atheists about how they're doing their fake baptisms wrong. You know what? I'm going to have some beef with you, atheist Catholic, about how you used to do baptisms. Oh, Tesla Ranger says, let's see. Tesla Ranger says, Hovind's doctorate is from Patriot Bible University. Wow.
and here it is. I have a picture of it.
You don't get more American than that. All right, we're going to add it to the stream here.
I don't know if I can make it bigger on the stream. Hang on one second. Let's see if I can.
Didn't they use that set on Breaking Bad as a mecca? You know, Walter White and Jesse Pinkman are just in there, just like cranking it out.
Yeah, it's literally like what is it? It's 3 rooms or something. It's an entranceway, a bathroom, and the schoolroom. And
Mr. Ranger, he says that the doctorate is in Christian education.
There you
go. James Henry just popped in and he's like, wow, how about that? Indeed, James Henry. Yeah, that's a sad university.
The one thing I will give them is it is wheelchair accessible.
Okay, well that's good for them, right?
Yeah. Well, it kind of falls into that category of the only place you'll find more sick people than a hospital is a church.
Oh yeah, well, yeah, that's true. My cat's
I mean, if it's churning out people like Hovind, I wouldn't be surprised if it was just a meth shed. There's a dude in there sitting on a chair. You here for the lessons?
Are you here for the math? Are you here for the online university lessons?
Or the meth?
The math, the sex workers. We got it all here. It's a one-stop shop. That's what it is.
God, that's like that phone call where Peter loses his memory and calls Carter Pewterschmidt on Family Guy.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Are you the guy? I'm a guy. Do you have the drugs? What are drugs? You don't sound like the right guy." Click.
Well, my cat is like really at the door, so I'm going to see if it wants to come in.
Lovely.
Biscuit, yeah, she might pop in. I mean, I don't know. Yes. No, now you're running away. That's fine. Okay, great.
She'll come back. Don't worry.
Yeah, she will. She's in true cat fashion. I open the door that she's been out for a couple of minutes. She looks at me, purrs, or does some kind of cat sound, and then scampers away. It's like, great. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that purr sound was just wanted to make sure you weren't sitting down.
Yeah, exactly. Whatever you're doing, I just wanted to mess that up.
That was the cat equivalent of ha ha.
Yeah, exactly. Made you get up, you stupid human.
Did I tell you about the bunnies that are rampant in my neighborhood here that decimated my garden the other day?
Well, I know that you're waging I wouldn't call it a war. I would say a defensive operation against the bunnies.
I am definitely. So yesterday I went out to the garden and my strawberry plants are recovering. I've got a couple of nice big tomatoes growing in on my plants, and I thought, this is great. So I'm watering the garden down. There's a little bald patch of grass that I'm trying to get to grow back. So giving it a little water. As you're aware, it was very, very hot here recently. So all the grass is brown.
I'm surprised. I heard that there were like hundreds of fires in British Columbia.
There was 115.
Okay.
And in that 1 week that we had, that it went up to 108 at the peak, where Lytton, British Columbia, set the record for the hottest temperature of the day. And now they're saying that fire in Lytton that wiped out the entire town was probably made by man. It wasn't.
Really?
Like that. Now, when they say that, it could have been a spark off of a railroad. It could have been, man-made, whatever.
Yeah,
I haven't got down to it yet. But so in that 1 week where we had the heat dome and the temperature spike, we went from 115 wildfires to 235. And that's pretty common for this time of year.
Oh, is it? All right. Yeah.
Yeah. When we look at forest fires in British Columbia, we look at the amount of hectares, the metric for acres.
Right. The communist, unit of measuring, space.
Yes. Like the rest of the communist world. The non-patriot version. Yeah.
The non-patriot version. That's right.
Yeah. So we count it by that because some of these fires are in close proximity to each other, and some will burn out when they run into the backs of others and stuff like that. So we really don't count it as good morning, Dee. We don't count it as individual fires. We look at how much is burning and how manageable it is, what's under control and what's out of control.
Yeah.
And remember, British Columbia is a very, very large area with very, very few people compared to the United States in it.
This is true. I think Canada is the second largest nation in the world in terms of land size.
Yeah. And some of it is inhospitable to human life.
Yeah.
Do you know how this fire in Lytton was lit? Sorry, I had to. But I asked the question because when Australia has its mass bushfires, we have a certain percentage that's started by fuckwits.
Yes.
Who just get their jollies by starting massive destructive bushfires. I just wondered if that's an Australian thing or.
Well, we have so much old growth forest up here, and the ground is actually almost like a peat bog from all of the years and years of buildup of tree refuse and leaves and what have you that's fallen down. So what normally happens out here, I hate to say normally, but what often happens is somebody will light a campfire or they will go camp on a mountainside. If you have a capable four-wheel drive, you can get to a lot of places up the forest roads and up the old mining roads. You can get to places that are inaccessible to firefighters and inaccessible to most other people. So you find a nice cozy spot, you drop a bunch of rocks around, you light a campfire, you pour some water on it, and the surface of the fire goes out. But underneath that, the peat is still burning, and it burns through tree roots and other places, and it pops up around that fire. So that fire takes a week to burn underground because there's very little oxygen. But when it breaks through the surface, all of a sudden you have a major forest fire.
Dave, is this another conspiracy theory?
This absolutely happens.
Okay, because it sounds like it could happen.
Yeah, it's absolutely a thing. And it's why most campgrounds either have their own camp. They have like an old tractor trailer wheel, and it's on top of gravel, on top of sand, so that it can't burn down that way.
Do you understand to us how terrifying that sounds, Dave?
No,
Like you're describing end of world shit.
There's a fire underground, and it's just waiting to get you.
Now, not to freak anyone out, but you guys know about the coal seam fire that was lit by, it's way up north, and it was lit by lightning years ago. It's been burning for like 60 years, and it's unput-outable.
It's unput-outable.
Yeah.
It's like a giant tire fire? Is that what you're basically telling me?
It's a coal seam. It's actually like where the earth has heaved and a coal seam came to the surface. Some lightning lit it on fire and it started burning. But it's coal. And outside, they tried for years. They plowed over it. They did all kinds of stuff. Outside of literally dropping, a 100-ton weapon on top of it.
That's exactly what my America solution would be. Have you tried nuking
it? My America's solution is capitalism. Build a power plant over it.
Yeah, I like that.
Now that's fighting fire with fire.
Yeah,
literally.
Yeah.
This is interesting from Tesla Ranger. The first year, I think you guys, this is the Ken Hovind University.
Patriot University.
Patriot University. First year tuition is a mere $700. Masters are $1,400, and doctorates run. I think I could get a couple of doctorates, maybe. Right? Are you allowed to write the name of your doctorate, like whatever you got? That would be pretty cool.
Make it up yourself.
Let's make it up. Yeah.
Doctor. There's just so many possibilities there, right? Yeah.
So, trying to shame us with his Swedish socialism there. The cost of a Swedish degree is nothing. Oh, my girlfriend's closing the door. She's had enough of our noise. She's like, the cat's not going in, Andy.
Yeah.
I'm just irritated.
So, do you have things similar, like here in Australia, sort of, it's like the highest education before university. We call it a diploma. So, like you go to what we call TAFE or technical colleges.
Yeah.
You do a certificate. So there'll be in a given subject, there'll be a Cert 1, Cert 2, Cert 3, and then you get your diploma in that. Now, just to get a diploma here, which, they don't mean much. You're looking at about $2,500 to $3,000, which is double what they're charging for a doctorate.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's some value, man.
Indeed. And you probably don't even have to go to a meth house either to get your certificate.
They mail that shit out.
I'd like to get my education. Yeah, just drive 2.5 hours out into the middle of the desert here, and you and one other person are going to be taking different doctorates in this building at the same time. And what you're going to pay, the $1,800 will keep the power on for the next 10 years.
Right.
I wonder if there's air conditioning.
Air conditioning. Come on, man. That's for that's not for such an august organization like Patriot University.
Well, I wonder if anyone's got a doctorate there since Hovind, or if he's like the only one.
Yeah.
I'm sure lots of people have, but who's going to take that seriously?
Peat fire has been going on in North Sweden since 1986.
Yeah. They're almost impossible to put out. We had, I might be able to look up a picture, but we had right down the street from me here, literally 5 minutes from my house, there's a giant bog, and it's called Burns Bog. It's Burns, Burns, and there was a fire there. Ironically enough, Burns Bog caught fire. So they had this massive fire there years ago, and they fought it all summer long. And it literally took until the end of the year when the rainy season hit before that went out. And if you're in an area where you're in like a rain shadow and you don't get a significant amount of rainfall, that's just going to burn forever.
So Tesla Ranger says their website is still up, and I just looked on my iPhone. And yes, it is. It is still in the best 1990s kind of site possible. Patriot Bible University. You could do a School of Christian Education, of course. Patriot School of the Bible is a study program there. Patriot School of the Bible. I'm intrigued.
The subheading of that is how America fits in the Bible.
Yeah, or how the Bible fits in America.
Yeah, that's better. How the Bible was written for America.
By America.
By America.
Do we have to call emergency for it?
The Bible was written by America.
Of course it was.
That's gold.
It wasn't written by Americans. It was written by America. That's a big difference. You know what I'm disappointed about is that they don't tell you the list of classes in the Patriot School of the Bible, because that's what I'm really interested in, is what the classes are. Maybe it's self-directed. I don't know.
You know, it's almost worth trying to round up the $1,500 for someone to do the course.
Right.
Just so we can debunk it.
What the hell is that, Dave? Is that the
that is a water bomber going over Burns Bog next to the highway that I drive to work on.
Wow.
This is there's all kinds of pictures. You can see how close this is. That's from New Westminster. So looking over Neil's house at the bog.
Jeez.
And this is how close to the city it was. It polluted the city for a long, long time. Huge fire.
You know, under normal circumstances, you do Vancouver proud in terms of working its tourism angle, Dave. But not today.
Oh, can't get that one. Okay. What happened there? Oh, okay. Yeah, that one you can see the flames actually shooting up when it started, when the trees were still burning. But after all the trees were gone, it just looked like a parking lot.
Yeah, there's a certain niche tourism for disasters.
So there is a class. Tesla Ranger is going through the site. Thank you, Tesla Ranger, for being our producer, basically, for the show. This sounds terrifying. Biblical discipline of children. That sounds like a horrifying class right there.
Yeah. And he's taken that. Oh, maybe this is what you need for the doctorate that you mentioned.
Maybe, yeah. It's the all right, so let's see what else is down here. Following God's Will is an entire class.
What
America in Bible Prophecy. It's a 403 level class right there.
I knew it.
Christian Warfare. Is this real, Tesla Ranger? Is this? I feel like this is real, but maybe it's not, because
jail ministry.
Yeah.
The previous are examples of courses offered at Patriot Bible University. All right, well there you go. You can also take a class in God's Wonderful Promises. I'm surprised they don't have a class in Finding Your Car Keys.
Hey, Andy.
Hey, what?
I have a question. If I hit stop sharing on my screen right now, does it just go blank or does it go back to the other way?
If you just hit stop sharing?
Yeah, can I do that?
You can try it and see what happens, Dave.
Cool.
It just goes back
there we go.
Full.
Yeah. The worst thing that's going to happen is that you kick yourself off the show, Dave, and then you just go back on, I would imagine, right?
Sure. I didn't want to mess you up.
Oh, well, I appreciate that. I can usually do that on my own, as many of you already know. So the source is Rational Wiki. Well, thank you, Tesla Ranger.
Rational Wiki, yeah.
It is a terrifying concept there, Phil Lister. The biblical discipline of children. Yeah, that's should put a chill up your spine.
There should also be a class on how to make food and beverages for churches so that, you can attract more people to your church.
Yeah.
Yeah, because, if you go to any church on a Sunday morning, somebody's brought in like cinnamon buns or cookies or something like that. And they make the coffee just right. And there's always tea brewing, and there's, or iced tea or sweet tea if you're in the United States.
Yeah, sweet tea. Yeah.
That was Thursday night book study for Jehovah's Witnesses.
No kidding, eh?
Mm. That's when they go into the little groups in each other's homes
Oh yeah.
and indoctrinate each other a little bit, and then have cups of tea and bickies.
And Vicky's is biscuits. I'm guessing.
Biscuits, yes.
All right. See, I got that right. Okay, good. Jesse Bear says, my guess is to train up a child would be required reading. I would guess so. Yeah.
Yeesh. Yeah, sometimes I.
Well, I was raised by a fundamentalist Christian, and what was completely acceptable by the religion would probably be illegal by law.
Yeah,
especially nowadays.
Yeah.
If you read up on what's actually being taught to pastors on what they call the 4 to 14 window, about how to capture and indoctrinate a child at a certain age while they're vulnerable. I mean, that's literally, if you switch religion for sexualization, it's a manual on how to be a sexual predator.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, the Jehovah's Witnesses recently had their big convention for the year. I think I was telling you last time. And one of the video dramas shows this young couple, and it's essentially how you should be raising your child. And it just has this clip of the pregnant mother sitting there, and the father's down on his knees reading the My Book of Bible Stories, which is a horror book unto itself, to this unborn child. So they expect them to start indoctrinating before they're born, and they refer to the verse in the Bible that says that you should read the scriptures to your child even before it's born.
You know, just when you think playing Mozart to your unborn child is pretty crazy, there's this whole leveling up of insanity.
It's messed up. I will be doing a review of that sometime shortly, so I'll let you know when I release that.
Sure. Phil Lister says, I begin to revise my view on Lutheran clergy. They almost appear sane. Almost. You know, GeoSam, that sounds like sin thinking. That's what that is. Just letting children be children.
Yeah.
You're not going to have them to be foot soldiers for Jesus that way.
Oh, well. Sin is something I don't believe in.
No.
But if you don't beat your child, how are they going to learn to beat their child? It's a tradition.
Yeah.
It's you can't question that whatsoever.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe if there's new, I'm not going to go down that because I was just going into a dark place, and I don't want to do that.
No, I'm really glad that I do not have my own children, because I'm sure there would have been a day where I scooped the child up under my arm and said, "Honey, get my gun. We're going to the woods. We're going to start over."
Well, I will tell you this: at a certain point, Dave, there is a joy of knowing that that at least for me, I have a joy that my kids, one's out of high school, the other one got 2 years left before being out of high school, and I feel like I'm almost. It's like, you know, I know when I say I'm done, I know I'm not done, but it's like when your kid starts going into school and you feel like the big weight off your shoulders because they're no longer around, like the heavy lifting's done. Yeah, I feel like I'm looking forward. In fact, I already feel like the weight is already gone from my shoulders about this.
But your kids are also smart and funny, and they're functioning adults, and they have a good base of epistemology, and at times they impress you.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So I don't know how easily you can see your Facebook Andy, but I just messaged you a photo my partner took tonight and sent to some of our friends.
All right, I just took a look. Oh wow, look at that! Huh?
I could go to jail for this, but it just got to a point tonight. She's like, "Right, you're sleeping with the dog. I've had enough." And this is the photo of my son looking in the back door.
Right.
But he's grinning and he thinks it's a great big joke.
Of course he does. Well, isn't that just obviously humorous. I was reading through. Oh, I don't know. It was one of those books on tiger moms that was out maybe 5 years ago or 6 years ago or so. And she did something similar to that, Sammy, but it wasn't a joke. It wasn't an effing joke.
Oh.
And I'm going, I think this is child abuse. Is this child abuse? This seems like child abuse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get in the punishment crate.
Yeah. Jesse Bear agrees that the hardest bit is over after the high school graduation. Indeed.
Now, hardest bit, is that emotionally or like tasking time-wise, or what do you mean?
Well, I think I've said it a couple of different ways.
Tasking time-wise. You can tell Dave's never had a kid. There's no tasking time-wise. It's all the emotion.
All right, Sammy.
It's when a lot of parents go back and have another one. I kid you not.
I don't
get these massive gaps in siblings.
Once you're out, I'm this far out and I'm pretty happy about, living my life in a somewhat independent fashion. I can't imagine wanting to go back in again.
One of my high school friends, Ben, used to babysit his uncle.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
How about that, huh? Yeah. Okay. So yeah, there are some terms and conditions applied. I've almost made some pretty serious mistakes post divorce.
Really? You?
Maybe, perhaps.
We seem to run in the same circles, Andy.
Yeah. Well, Dave, you're a bit smarter than me because you just hopped and skipped right over that marriage part.
Fair enough. So you've dodged a couple of bullets since then. Is that how you would word it, or?
Yeah, well, it's Dave, we've talked about this, about how I've done maybe financially stupid things about co-signing loans for my girlfriends, SUV that I'm still officially, I don't pay anything for it, mind you, but because my credit doesn't stop. I'm still the loan's still getting paid off. And I might have almost been talked into having more children with the previous relationship.
There's a balance between dodged a bullet and robbed yourself of life experience. It's a teeter-totter.
And they're very blurred lines.
So, interesting point, talking about kids and everything. I get to meet some of my brothers this weekend, and going up to the homestead up in New York State and meeting some of my brothers for the first time. And so that should be interesting.
Are these are half brothers, aren't they?
Half brothers, yeah.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Fellow canards.
Fellow canards.
Oh no.
Well, I suspect that I'm probably the canardiest of the canards. So
yet to be determined.
Yet to be determined. You're right. Yet to be determined. Yeah. So,
Andy, I want you to come back with you can just say brother A or brother 1, brother 2, brother 3, whatever, alpha, beta, whatever you want to call them, right? And let us know if this is a person that you would live on the island of Canard with, or if they would be exiled.
Well, that's a very good question, Dave. That's a good question.
Yeah.
And statistically, one of them's going to look heaps like you.
Oh, yeah. Well,
that's going to be weird for you.
I get people every once in a while, I'll be talking to someone, for the first time, they'll be like, "Oh, you look like someone I know." It's like, yeah, a lot of us middle-aged white guys do have a striking resemblance to each other. I just want to say that. I was at a job interview the other day, and I get this a lot, is that, that guy who was in Ferris Bueller's Day Off, it wasn't Ferris Bueller. It was, it's Cameron. And I do have the look of an elder Cameron.
You know what I'm concerned about with this whole thing is it could throw a wrench into the whole works. And you could come back from this experience going, guys, I thought I was the weird one, but I'm the normal one.
Well, Dave, that is a terrifying thought.
I'm the well-adjusted one in the family.
Yeah. I could, that would be disturbing, to tell you the truth.
It's not that scary, Andy.
Yeah, no.
I live that every day.
Yeah. I have focused on being functional, I guess is the psychological term, being functional in the world. It would be interesting to see if, and my kids, I've only had like an N of 3, myself, my son and my daughter, in terms of, up until, connecting with my birth family. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. Dragon says, my family has 8 boys and none of us are normal or well-adjusted. No, Dragon, do you think it's an effect of having 8 boys? Or was there something at the very root of the genetic tree there that went
You got
awry?
to figure any parent's crazy enough to have 8 boys. There's just not starting from a good base.
Well, Dave, I don't think they put in their order at the deli. It's like, we want 8 boys. But I see what you're saying.
At 4, you had to figure like, okay, just pull out, right? Come on.
I see what you did there, sir. Well done, well played.
Now, I know correlation by no means means causation, but I just want to state an interesting fact that I've come to realize. That in my family, I'm one of 5 children. There's 3 boys and 2 girls. And all the boys, including my father, he wasn't as diagnosed, but he clearly had mental health issues, and all the boys have mental health. None of us got baptized. We all left early. Dad left as well. He left first, which is why I think us boys had that way out. But we all doubted and questioned from the get-go. But the girls, including my mother, are all deeply, deeply indoctrinated.
Yeah.
And, it just makes me wonder about there's the male-female thing, then there's we all had mental health and the girls don't, but we're the ones that seem to wake up from the indoctrination.
Well, I mean...
Yeah,
I have heard, and tell me if I'm wrong, chat, people on the panel, is that women have a tendency of being more or having more religiosity than men overall. And I have
I don't know if religiosity, I think spirituality.
Okay. Or functionally, they're more religious.
Functionally, yeah.
And I'm thinking there's a couple of different reasons for this. One is that, of course, traditionally they've been in charge of the home and in charge of raising the children. And that means, outsourcing some of the moral education of the kids to the church. But also, and I think that this is a more pernicious aspect of religion, is that if we can say that those who are more persecuted are more likely to be religious, right? And that you can see that here in the States. People who have suffered the most are more likely to be religious.
I think that's actually a fact that marginalized communities are more religious.
Right. And if women have been, which they have been, a marginalized group in the society, in a patriarchal society, then doesn't it make sense that women are more religious? I mean, within the community, within a faith-based community.
At the very least, more tolerant of it.
Yeah.
Yep, and do you know that makes all the pieces come together in my head? Actually, the females in my family, we're all quite an emotional family. We're very open emotionally.
Mm.
The girls, much more so. Very dependent on their husbands, by choice, of course, but also by just witnessing mum. But there's not only that side of it. It's slipping away.
But do you think it's a following in mum's footsteps? If mum
Exactly
walks that path, then there's sort of a desire. I want to be as good a cook as mum. I want to be as religious as mum. I want to,
Jesse Beer says, I think in women, it's more of a social aspect from my experience being a traditional mom. It's very isolating, and the church gives a social life. I can definitely see that. Yeah.
Mm.
And Dragons in Genesis says, in terms of a earlier question, it's a genetic thing. Multi-generational crazy.
Yeah.
I like what John Hudson said.
Smart is more likely. That one, not that one.
The one above that.
Okay. I'm the second most rational man in Texas. Let that sink in for a second. That's terrifying, John. No offense to you, brother.
Yeah.
Oh, he doesn't take offense to that. I think that's why he points it out. He's quite proud.
Right.
Yeah.
As you should be, John.
I mean, if I have to admit, I live walking distance from the liquor store. But if I lived in a rural community out here for 3 months, that's all I could handle. I'm a city person.
Yeah, me too.
For those of you who know the area well, I lived in Aldergrove. And had I had a John Deere tractor, I would have driven that tractor to the liquor store for sure. Absolutely no question. Yeah.
I would have done it in a postmodern, ironic way, though. That's me.
I would have done it because I was thirsty.
Because I was thirsty. And I needed it.
I remember when I was quite young, I had an uncle. That's why I ended up living out there. My uncle lived in Aldergrove, and he had a Bronco or a Jimmy or something like that. And after watching him drink a 26er, he said, "Come on, let's go to the liquor store." And I'm like, "Oh, this is a bad idea." Sorry, idea for those.
Idea. Thank you.
So we get in the truck, and he drives across the back field and tells me to get out and open the gate. I open the fence gate, and he drives through, and I close it. And he drives through a ditch and across somebody's property and pops out in the back parking lot of the liquor store. And I'm like, that was actually way safer than I thought it was going to be.
Jesse says, my own mom got back into the church to gain a bigger and social support network when her life got difficult. I could see that. Yeah. Being an atheist and a mom, it's difficult to find like-minded peers myself. Yeah. That's why we need this. That's why we need the A. That's why we need the sign, flash.
The best part of churches are the community they provide, but it'd be great if we had community organizations to rival what people get from their churches.
Yeah, the closest thing that I've seen is the Satanic Temple. I'm a big promoter of the temple.
So I used to live next door to a non-denominational, basically Baptist church. They're all Baptists. And they would often have these community things in their car park. They'd put jumping castles and little stalls and things. And all the kids would be able to come from the community, and there was something to do. And I think that's all fantastic. And then you'll see these young preachers talking to a young teenager about hell and where their soul's going. And I think, why'd you have to go and ruin this? Like, it's all about community, but then you take it to this dark place.
It's not a glitch of the system; it's a feature of the system. That's what it is.
So, something I like that's been happening in St. Paul is we've been building a lot more just community centers around the city, where it's like just community center, not religious organization or anything, just community center where you can go and have community activities, and a lot of them are associated with a library and stuff like that for the city libraries, and it's just that's what I want to see.
Wow, yeah. Headed by, see, libraries is a brilliant start, but you know, any sort of educational setting, as opposed to religious education.
Education,
right? Yeah.
Well, no, don't. I mean, there is a need for religious education.
Not the study of religion.
What you're,
religious education.
I think what you're talking about, Dave, is cult inoculation or inoculation against cults, and religious education in that sense.
I really don't care if somebody is religious, and I don't care what religion they are. If they say to me, if I didn't have God in my life, I would grab a gun and I would kill 50 people, then great. You need to be religious. That's a good excuse for it. If they say to me, I want to be religious because I have a need in my life, I would commit suicide if I didn't know there was something after this life, then you need to stay religious. If you believe in God because you want to believe in God, great. Stay religious. I have nothing wrong with that, as long as you're making an educated decision.
Well, those are education. Those are decisions made out of desperation. Let's face it, right? I'm going to go out and kill. I'm a high functioning sociopath or a low functioning sociopath, and I need religion to keep me coloring between the lines. I mean, all the more power to you. Go right ahead. You know,
that's also possibly the cure is also the cause, kind of.
Thank you, Tesla. I mean, thank you, Grant, for saying that. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you have to look at it as you're driving down a road with certain turnoffs, and at some point in their life, they needed something to keep them, to provide them with some sort of guidance, and they accepted that it was going to be religion rather than mental health care or hobbies or something else, volunteerism. That's what that key has become, and that is, if that is now the linchpin that holds their life together, then that is what it is. And it's a long, long road of therapy to extract someone from that and provide them with a different tool. So that's why I say stay in religion and work on being better. If you've recognized that this is why you're in it, then you have to look at, do I want to change, right?
The flip side of it is that you get these sociopaths, or you get people who are ex-addicts or former addicts, and then they find God, and then they make everyone's lives miserable, like Mike Lindell. It's like, I don't think you're sober because of God, or even a belief in God.
Mike Lindell's sober?
Well, he said well said.
Oof.
Yeah, that's why I like to focus on providing alternatives instead of trying to just destroy what they have. So provide the alternative kind of communities and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And my pushback to what has always been to thinking of sort of what you were saying, Dave, is that I know religions exist out there that you can say could be completely not harmful, like say Buddhism, weak Buddhism and things.
Weak Buddhism, yeah.
But in general, like you look at someone like my mum, beautiful human being, like give the shirt off her back, just brilliant, yet would shun her own children because of her, belief.
Right.
and so while ever there's going to be damaging effects or negative effects, I think we need to be fighting it 100%. Like, don't even believe it, because like, even if you accept, yep, I'd say I don't believe in God, but I need a God because of this or this or that. Okay, as long as then that doesn't follow that you're going to go and do the stupid shit that comes along with your God. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm talking greater good and human, humanistic wellness, right? Like when you have a religion that is obviously exploiting people for money, for time, for furthering their agenda, that's obviously bad. But if you have somebody who's involved in that, who leaving that would create a worse result for them and or the people around them, I don't know how you tell them to leave. I mean,
I completely agree. That's my mother again.
It's like people with a drug addiction. If you just tear them away cold turkey, they can have some really severe reactions.
Indeed.
And
see, someone like my mum, who's in her mid-60s, who wasn't born in, but I think from about 8 or 9 years old, so lifelong. And it is such a deep, powerful indoctrination, her particular cult. Not only have I sort of resigned myself to the fact that there is no way I could ever wake her up, like she'll die in.
Yeah.
But that if it was somehow, say they go bankrupt and the governing body all go to jail and the whole religion collapses, she still wouldn't accept that it was.
Sure. Yeah, some people like that. Just to lighten it up. This was me trying on my glasses to see how I look without the ring light on, because I'm using nothing but natural light. And the only problem is I can't read anything.
There is a slight glare off your monitor, but it's not bad. Not bad.
Yeah. But I literally cannot read anything here. So that was no experiment is a failure. But keeping the glasses off.
I had years ago, I used to work at this place, and there was a girl there who knew I was going to church and all that, and asked me to attend her church with her, and was telling me about this wonderful young new pastor they had who had a band, and they were doing this stuff at the church, and they had the most amazing services, and I should come check them out. So I went to of all the services I went to, it was the Christmas celebration.
No.
So it was weird. I mean, it was creepy weird. And that was when I was in church.
Yeah.
They brought up a person who they had rescued from the east side of Vancouver. And they were like, they brought a person on stage and said, this is a person who was human garbage. They used to do drugs, and they used to sleep in alleys, and they used to have sex for money. And now they're in our church. And I'm like, that person is not going to be in this church for very long.
That's a false start right there. You got to stop that. You know?
And I was like, holy crap. And the whole chanty, it was very indoctrinating chanty, the whole Christmas thing. And they wrote their own Christmas play. And this young pastor, so charismatic, definitely like young boy band material. And within a couple of months, I found out that he ran off with somebody's 14-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
And she still goes to that church.
Sure. All right. On that note, I'm going to close up the show, everyone. It's getting to be that time, and I got to go to work.
Andy, you left the other show early.
I did. And I did. I made myself a cup of coffee. I made myself a cup of coffee. I did work in between those.
Are you just making these rules up as you go?
You're jibbing us our hard-earned canard.
Dr. Kennard would never do such a thing. I got my education from Patriot University.
And you played with the cat off camera. Oh, that's so wrong. You got to get that cat tree behind you.
Well, that would, there has to be some. Maybe I'll just put some catnip out here or some cat treats, and that would, bring her over. I think that's a good idea. I think I'm going to go with the idea.
What day is today?
Today's the 6th.
What day of the week? Yeah, it's Tuesday. Okay. Yeah, don't do it on Wednesday. Maybe a Friday thing. Try do the Friday cat thing. Or Monday. Monday's always a good day to start with cat.
For those of us who know I think it'd be a very simple thing. I just got to like shake the treats and she'll come.
Yeah. Give it a shot.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens. All right, everyone. Thanks for showing up. Panel. You've been a great panel, of course. As always, the people in the chat, thanks for contributing. Hit the like button or your kids will run off with the pastor. Indeed. All right, take care, everyone. I'll see you tomorrow.